She didn't trust me anymore. She looked at me like she had looked at other men, not like the girl that used to look at me with eyes full of love and adoration. When she looked at me with those big trusting eyes, they had a way of making me feel as if I was her hero. She would give me a smile that was only for me. It had a way of making me feel like $1,000,000, you know? But now there was a different look in her eyes. She was no longer a girl. It was the eyes of a woman that looked back at me today. A woman that had been hurt badly and struggled to claw her way through that pain because she had to for our child. She had to claw her way through her fears, through her uncertainties, and her pain so that she could be the mommy Dawid needed her to be, while his daddy was off having temper tantrums, blaming the world for my mistakes. Oh, dear Yah, help me. Help me, please. I needed her to look at me like she used to. I'll do whatever it takes to bring the joy back into her eyes. Her eyes, those beautiful eyes that have hunted me over the years. I expected to see my little Nuria, not the beautiful, matured, filled out woman that I saw today. The baby must have made her feel out in places she hadn't been before. My mouth watered. I couldn't wait to caress those new curves. If she didn't take me back, I don't know what I would do. And Dawid, my boy, was so smart. I stood off to the side watching him, and it was as if he knew who I was, because without hesitation he approached me. I knew him instantly. He was a carbon copy of me, just smaller. He even had little brown dreads that stuck up from his head. I'm Dawid, he said, so strong and sure of himself. The strength coming from him amazed me. I squatted down to his level. He looked me directly in the eyes as if he was trying to connect with me. I felt it. I'm lying, I told him. He nodded his head. You my daddy? I frowned. It was no way a 2.5-year-old kid should be so put together. And I know everybody thought their kids were smart and special. But my son was causing shivers to go through me. I think he frightened me. I nodded, as I felt my emotions going south. I had never cried in my life as much as I had done over the last 2 days. How old are you? I asked. Of course I knew. I just wanted to see what he'd say. I'm this many, he said, holding up 2 fingers. I smiled at him through the water of my eyes. I can't tell you how good it felt to finally be laying eyes on my seed. I didn't think I would ever get this blessing. Toda Yah. I wanted to pick him up and hold him close, smell his baby smell, but I didn't want to scare him. You gonna stay with us? He rubbed at his eyes. I nodded. Yeah, man. Where you go, I go. He nodded, taking my word without question. Dawid, come here. Her voice, still so sexy, so sassy. For a split second, I closed my eyes, taking it within my system. I didn't think I would ever be blessed to hear it again. When I turned to look up at her, everything else disappeared from my world. She was still my warrior woman. She stood there in green cargo pants, black Timbs, and a green bomber's jacket. Her hair had grown a lot longer, and it was braided in 6 cornrows that went straight back and fell to the middle of her back. Damn, she looked so good. My eyes fell to her pretty mouth with those plush lips that I've missed the most. I balled my fist up to keep from grabbing her and tasting her. I was so starved. I needed. What did I tell you about talking to strangers? Stranger? Stranger? That's what I was to her? To my son, please, Father, help me. Give your servant the strength to do what it takes to get his family back. As I watched them leave the park, I prepared myself for a long night, because even if I had to stand outside her house forever, I would never spend another one away from them. When we got home, I laid Dawi down for a nap. Then I put on dinner. I told myself that I wasn't pulling the roast out the freezer because it was Lion's favorite thing to eat, or that I wasn't cutting up sweet potatoes because he had a killer sweet tooth, or that I wasn't putting on this smoked turkey part for kale greens because he had damn near ate the whole pot last time I made them. And I was not, most definitely not, putting a pan of macaroni and cheese in the oven because the last time I had made it for him, he had asked me to marry him again. After I had dinner underway, I told myself that I was not soaking in a strawberry-scented bath because Lion always sniffed my neck and kissed me there after I bathed. I told myself that I was not putting on the only dress I ever owned because I knew how good I looked in it thanks to my baby weight curves. And I told myself I was not trying to set the mood by bringing out my good candles from Walmart and placing them around the living room. My place was small. We only had one bedroom, and Dawi's crib was in there. So maybe the adults could talk in the living room while baby slept. I told myself that my body was betraying me and clearly getting itself worked up for something it missed dearly, and that I shouldn't listen to it. Yeah, I told myself all of that, but myself clearly had an agenda, and it will not be denied. Now, before y'all judge me, I ask you, what would you do if you were me? My nights have been real lonely, so very lonely. And there was an extremely fine, strong man on his way over. And oh yeah, he's my husband and the only man on earth that can ever touch me. And did I mention how well his touch made me feel? I'm not going to give in that easily. I do have my pride. But y'all, he came. He came for us. And I don't know. I want him to know what he's been missing. It was just as I was taking the dinner out the oven when I heard claws walking across my porch. My body began to hum because it knew that the one who was so good at stroking the flames, then fanning the flames until it burned into an inferno, until I thought I would be burned alive before making it rain while my body shivered as the flames was extinguished, bringing tears to my eyes, was just on the other side of that door. "Mama, roar!" Darby yelled excitedly in his panda bear onesies. Oh yeah, he was bathed, and after he got a little food in his belly, he was going to be good and sleepy. "Look, Mama, it's a tiger! Roar!" he yelled out the window, jumping up and down, full of toddler energy. "Oh, look, it's Daddy! Daddy!" he yelled, beating on the window. I made my way to the front door, and I froze with my hand on the knob. My other hand shook as it made its way to my chest. Oh my goodness, this thing was happening. And now that my lust was no longer ruling me, I was scared as hell. "Mama, open the door, it's Daddy." He still beat at the window. I turned the knob and I slowly opened the door. Lion and King stood on the other side. "Ooh!" Dawid yelled, with no fear, pushing past me to wrap his little arms around King's neck and squeeze. Good thing King was so big, or I was sure my son would have choked him. I laughed down at him as King sat patiently while Dawid patted his head, his mane, burying his hands in his mane. He even put his little fingers in his eyes. He even stuck his hand in King's mouth. I wasn't worried because Lion had King well trained, but I told myself not to forget to wash his hands before dinner. I was avoiding looking at Lion, but I couldn't put it off any longer, and slowly I raised my eyes to his. And yep, there go my lust. She was back with a vengeance. His chocolate gaze raked over my body. undressing me, making that fire start with just a gaze. When his eyes met mine again, I had to grab onto the door to prevent myself from falling. You flew, blackbird. His words brought me up short. I nodded. I flew, I said. And you're wearing a dress. His eyes crept back down my body. Mm-hmm. You like it? I licked my lips and looked at him from underneath my eyelashes. Man, Shorty. He put his hand on his chest. You look real good. Real good. His gaze fell to my lips. I had put a little lip gloss on them, and yes, I was well aware of how much Lion liked them. You hungry? I asked. And for a moment, his mouth fell completely open. Hell yeah, he said, a little too enthusiastic. Dinner, I clarified. I made dinner. He looked as if I had slapped him. Dinner? And frowned. As if he ain't never even heard of the word. Yeah, dinner, plate, fork, dinner. Oh, yeah, I could eat. It was my turn to frown at him. What did you think I was talking about? Okay, y'all, I was playing dirty, but like I said, I was having a little issue with my lust. Nori, baby, you can't play these kind of games with me. You don't know how much I need. His words cut off, as if he was afraid he would scare me or something. Come on, Daddy, Dawid said, grabbing Lion's hand and pulling him into our small kitchen. King followed behind him. Sit there, Daddy. Dawid pushed his father into one of the chairs. I found this table at the Goodwill. It was a very small round table, perfect for me and Dawid, but Lion looked huge sitting at it. King settled on the floor at his feet. Dawid climbed up in his high chair, talking his daddy's ears off as I made plates. Mama said she was going to take me on a train, and a boat, and a plane. I could feel Lion's coffee brown gaze on me as I made my way around the kitchen. I looked into the microwave to see his reflection. His eyes followed my hips as I moved. You see, I had found this dress at the Goodwill. I made the mistake of wearing it out one day, and I will never do it again. I felt real bad because I had caused a lot of men to sin that day. I didn't know how the weight I had gained would make things jiggle that didn't used to. And the dress was a real soft cotton, so although it wasn't tight, the material still clung to my hips. I begged y'all to forgive me because that day I had been a huge stumbling block. Needless to say, I never wore the dress out the house again. However, the way Lion's eyes hungrily followed me, I knew it still had its effects. Suddenly, his gaze raised to meet mine in the microwave. Quickly, I looked away. Damn, that brother still had the power over me with just a look. Mm, mm, mm. I finished the plates, loading Lion's up like I remembered he liked it. Dawid ate a lot too. I mean, for a little fella, he could put it away. I set their plates in front of them, and I went and got my own. As I sat, our gazes met. Man, I could read him so clearly. He was being on his best behavior because he knew he had messed up. But if not for that, or the fact that our little son was here, these plates would be on the floor by now. Dawid put up his little hands and bowed his head. Lion's gaze flew to him, and his eyes watered as he watched his son patiently wait for the food to be blessed. You'll do the honors? I asked. He nodded. I bowed my head and raised my palms in the air. Dear Father Yah, in the mighty name of Yehoshua, he began. I could hear the unshed tears in his voice. He thanked the Father for his family. He thanked the Father for his son. Then he thanked the Father for the woman he had given him, that he had so foolishly abused. Then he asked the Father to put it on my heart to forgive a fool. And finally, he thanked him for the food. Dawid dived in as soon as the prayer was over. My son took mealtime seriously, just like his dad. Except, Lion wasn't eating. He just stared down at the plate. What's the matter? I asked. It's all my favorite foods. I nodded. That's a good thing, right? I haven't eaten meat or anything like this for almost 3 years. What do you mean? After you left, I punished myself by no longer doing my pleasure, including eating what's good. I've eaten plain oatmeal, no butter, no sugar, and raw spinach every day. That explained the weight loss. I no longer fight, he continued. I don't even go down to the gym anymore. What do you do? I asked. Pray mostly. And I take care of your plants. What? I dropped my fork. Lion always complained when I dragged him into the greenhouse and made him sit as I explained to him each plant, their benefits, and how to take care of them. He nodded. They're all still alive. Not one has died, that's my word. His eyes filled with unshed tears. Nuri, those tears began to fall. I'm so sorry about your mom. I was so stupid and I hurt you so bad. I hurt your mom. Baby, baby, please. His voice cracked on a sob. Baby, I am so sorry. He put his head in his hands and wept. Oh, Father Yah, my heart broke at seeing him like this. My big, strong man was sobbing like a baby at my table. I didn't hesitate. I got up and I quickly rounded the table to him. He turned and wrapped his arms around me, burying his face in my soft belly. I held him as he wept, my own tears now falling. Baby, please listen to me, I told him through my own sobs. I went to step back, but his arms locked around me, bringing me down to straddle his lap. He may have lost weight, but that strength was still there. I dried his tears with my hands. Listen, Lion, you didn't kill her. You didn't kill Lovely. I did, baby. The ox told me. I had completely blacked out. I was so mad. I had allowed something dark to consume me. I will never hurt you. You know that, don't you? I will never hurt you. You didn't. You didn't kill her. He looked confused. I did, babe. No, you didn't. The man with no shoes told me. Lion stiffened. The man with no shoes came to talk to you? I nodded, smiling down at him. He told me so much. He said that your blow didn't kill Lovely, that another being made sure the job was done. Why? He said that as soon as we conceived Dawid, she had been ordained to die. He said had she been allowed to live, she would have destroyed our son. What else did he say? I told him everything, all that the man had told me that night. I told him what he said about Dawid and how he called him without raising his voice, and Dawid heard. I have tested this out. He hears like nothing I have ever seen. I put him on the couch, went into my closet, and I whispered his name. He heard me. I thought that was amazing, but that was nothing. I took him to the park, got back in the car, and I whispered his name. Baby, he heard me. We both turned to look at Dawid, who had now finished his food and was watching us as if he understood what was happening. Lion said something to him in Hebrew. Dawid got out of his high chair, went into the living room, and began to drag Lion's saddlebag into the kitchen. He has the gift of tongues, Lion said. What did you say to him? I asked him to go get my bag for me. I put my hand over my mouth. Oh my goodness, my heart was so full right now. I was so scared. He told me something that wasn't good too. What? He said, we have to enjoy the time we have left together. He said it won't last. Lion nodded as if that news was no surprise to him. What do you know? You always leave me out of things. What do you know? I was beginning to feel the anger, remembering now another reason I had left. I tried to get off his lap, but of course I could not because steel was wrapped around my waist. Baby, wait, he said. The things that I don't tell you is because I don't want to worry you. It's my job to make sure you stay healthy, happy, and whole. And you gotta be alright with that. I see and do some things that is not for you to try and understand or comprehend. Don't take on that burden on yourself. You are my little warrior woman. But even warrior women got to know when to step back. And I need you to be okay with that. I thought back to that night in the gym. I could not believe the things I saw Lion do. He actually ripped a man in half. Then he put his hand through Dollar Bill's body and pulled out his heart. I swallowed. If that was the kind of stuff that went on when he and his ox went out, then yeah, I was good, not knowing the details. My mind had fractured after I witnessed him in his full battle mode. No, it is not something I would like to see again. Okay, I do have one question though. What? He asked, looking up at me. How is it you're like that? You read the Bible and pray. You study your scriptures on a regular. You know, when you think of a man of Yah, you think of like a priest, a peaceful man, the kind of man that hands out Bibles, not blows. You know what I mean? He chuckled. We are not Yah's priests. We're his warriors. We were made to kill. I'm good at it, and I don't lose no sleep. Well, I smiled down at him. I'm so glad you came for us, I whispered. I never stopped looking. I was never going to stop either. With you gone, it was like my other half was gone. You know what I mean? I nodded. I knew what he meant. I too felt like only half of a person without him. I wrapped my arms around his neck. You forgive me, baby? He asked. I smiled at him, our lips only inches apart. Well, that all depends. On what? His lips tried to take mine and I moved back, shaking my head. Yeah, I know. I was a big fat tease. I have a light bulb that needs replacing. It's been turned off a long time, and I really want it to be turned back on. If that is something you think you can do for me, then maybe I'll forgive you. He looked at me and blinked twice. A light bulb. I nodded my head. A light bulb. He stood, easily lifting me in his arms. Yeah, let's get this light bulb lit. Lion, I squealed, hitting his shoulders. You're a parent now. You have to finish your dinner. And then you gotta get Junior all tucked in. He looked down at Daweed, who was smiling up at him. Got to read me a story. Lion exhaled. Is that right? He said, placing me back on my feet. Mm-hmm. A long story, too. Huh. Okay. Then he looked at me. You got my head all messed up, girl. Next time, don't challenge a brother like that unless you're ready to get what you asked for. 'Cause I'm for damn sure ready to give it to you. Oh, yes, Daddy is home.